that conversation of what is Lifevantage doing to continue to stay relevant and a great option for you. But we are excited to be here to talk about that. You'll also get a chance. We're going to shift gears about 30 minutes into the call, and we're going to talk to Erin Brockovich. Erin is somebody who is part of our board. She's an incredible part of the Lifevantage family. And we're going to really talk about leadership and kind of her view on, what makes a good leader, how you get through adversity. And if you haven't seen that amazing film, obviously you're going to want to go see it. I was just telling her, as someone who travels a lot, she's on Delta right now, so you can even watch it in the air. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm excited to introduce to you our CEO, Steve Fife, our VP of Sales, Jake Hines. The three of us are going to talk a little bit about the industry and how Lifevantage is really setting the stage for just amazing things happening. So Steve, welcome to the call. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all you do to lead this amazing company. Awesome. Well, Jake, I see you have joined us as well. Jake, how's it going? Welcome to this amazing call. Thanks for joining us as well. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am. The numbers are amazing. I hope that you can hear me okay. I've been watching the chat. We literally have people from all over the world, which is really cool to see people chiming in. So super excited about the call tonight and to be on with everybody.
Good. Well, let's jump right into it. Jake, I started by letting people know that we were going to do a little bit of a deep dive into the industry and why Lifevantage is positioned so strongly. And we've talked a lot about, what are those key things that people really need to look for? Now, one of the things that I know, and after being in this space for quite some time, is that for some people, it's product. For some people, it's opportunity. For some people, it's community, it's leadership. So we're going to cover really a lot of those things tonight. But we're going to go kind of just a little bit, talk about all of it a little bit. But over the next several weeks, we're going to do a lot of deep dives. So if it's product, if it's opportunity, whatever it is, you're going to have the opportunity to learn even more. And I will say the person who invited you to this call, they care about you. They want you to get this information. So of course, reach out to them with any questions as well. But Jake, we're going to kick it off with a topic. I wanted to start with something that I knew you would love talking about, and that is the concept of leadership. And Jake, I know I've known you for over a decade. I know you have extensive experience in the industry, both on the corporate side and on the field side. So I want to ask you, what is it about leadership that is so important when somebody is evaluating an opportunity?
Yeah, Kristen, that's a great question. And I do my background. Obviously, I started in the industry as a distributor and built kind of very organically from the ground up. And that's where I cut my teeth. And we built a very, very successful organization, I would say the hard way, without a lot of mentorship, but I learned a lot. And through the course of my career over the last about 20 years, both as a distributor and on the corporate side, and actually buying a network marketing company out of bankruptcy and running it e-com, all of those experiences, here's what I would say, is that ultimately, for me, when choosing a company or looking at a company or anything for that matter, leadership is number one. And the reason that I say that, there's a great quote out there by the great John Maxwell that says that everything rises and falls on leadership. And I believe that to my core, because if you have the right leader, if you have the right person steering the ship, they'll always find the right path. They'll find the right product. They'll make sure that the product is integrous. They'll make sure that the compensation plan is doing what it says it'll do. They lead with integrity. And so for me, above everything else, especially in this space, above product, honestly, above marketing, above compensation plan, above system, it ultimately comes down to leadership, because if you have the right person, you will find the right answers and you'll find the right direction.
I love that. If you have the right person, you will find the right answers. And I have to say, I think we have the right person here at Lifevantage. So Steve, I'm going to go to you and just kind of same question, but from the lens of the CEO of this incredible company that has done such great things over the past few years. Why should leadership be something that is so important to people as they're evaluating this? And more specifically, what has Lifevantage done to really make sure that people know that from a leadership perspective, we've got what it takes? I can hear you through the wall. For those of you that don't know this, Steve and I share a wall. I cannot hear you through the computer. I'm assuming that not everyone can hear you through the wall. All right, bring it on over. You guys, this is real time.
Love it.
Steve and I are going to be sitting awkwardly close. That's all
Well,
right.
you were very close on our Activate event. So you guys, you got this, right?
Yeah, he's coming. I just told him, I said, Steve and I are going to be sitting awkwardly close, but there he is. All right, we've got this. Now,
See how well we pivot.
yeah,
There you
spoke
go.
too soon. Okay, can everybody hear us okay?
You're good.
Now,
Yep.
do I look at this like, we're just going to go with it. Steve, what has Lifevantage done to make sure that, like, from a leadership standpoint, we're set up?
Well, I think, you know, the importance of leadership, Jake did a great job in talking about it, but, you know, the pace, the vision of a leader is what really, you know, attracts other leaders. And at Lifevantage, we have our vision is about creating the remarkable, both through our products and supporting entrepreneurs fulfill their mission. And it's amazing when you cast a vision and you have other leaders who are willing and able to accept the passing of that and development of that vision, the magic that can happen when you have that partnership working together in sync. And it's the beauty of what we have going on at Lifevantage right now. I love kind of the symbiotic relationship that we have between the corporate team and our field team, and how we share a common vision of where we're going. The alignment and accountability that we have is what really drives our results and what makes our future so bright.
Yeah, I love that. I think you've done a good job of, you know, it's not about one team here. It's not about one leader. It's not about one person. Like, we all wear that Lifevantage jersey and have kind of that big role. I guess my next question for you, Steve, is you made a pretty bold move a couple of years ago. And, you know, I'll tell you, for those of you, this is actually how we won Jake over to have him join Lifevantage, but you had this, we're not playing big enough moment. And as a leader, how important was that?
Yeah, you know, I've been with the company for 7 years now. I started as the chief financial officer. My background is in finances. And about 3 years ago, our board of directors asked if I'd step in and be the CEO. And I think it was the very first conversation that I had with them as we were talking about this opportunity was where was their mindset, and you know, and I shared with them my mindset about playing to win. You know, I think there's a huge difference between playing not to lose versus playing to win. And we had, you know, a very candid conversation around that. If you look at Lifevantage, we've been around 15 years now as a direct selling company. We experienced some really rapid growth in the early years, and then we've plateaued for a while. And there were some fundamentals that needed to change. And part of playing to win, in my mind, is having the courage, the support, the vision of making some changes that puts us back in the game. And that's what we've done over the last couple of years. You know, we saw a lot of trends that are now kind of playing out in the marketplace. COVID really changed the world in a number of ways. How consumers buy products, how sellers sell products, and we needed to adjust to adapt to that. And fortunately, you know, the teams caught that vision as well. We invested significantly as a company in that, and about a year and a half ago, we rolled out a new compensation plan and touched on several other things that, you know, are very integral to the overall success of a business. But it was through that investment a few years ago that we can be in a position of strength today as we look to build upon this great foundation that we have at Lifevantage.
I love that. You mentioned how much the world changed with COVID and, businesses shutting down. I mean, I'm just going to tell you my favorite dessert restaurant shut down because they didn't figure out how to evolve during COVID. And as somebody who is like looking to partner with a network marketing company, right? I mean, there's no guarantees in this industry. There's no guarantees in life, but you have so much experience with public companies.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what it means to have a public and a transparent partner.
Yeah, I think it's easy to kind of leave it at transparency. Every public company reports every quarter their financial results. And that's a tremendous benefit for our consultant base. And anyone that follows Lifevantage is they can see how we are doing as a company. And but I think the real value of being part of a public company is that there's multiple stakeholders. We have our investors for sure, but we also have, a consultant base, many of whom are shareholders in the company. We have employees, we have our board of directors, and you have multiple groups who, again, hold one another accountable. And as we set goals and collectively put forward our efforts to achieve those goals, there's multiple accountability partners, and we are all invested in the success of Lifevantage, be it our investors that have no other interest in the company other than they own a piece of it, but our consultants who, again, have an opportunity not just to benefit through our compensation plan, but also through ownership in the company. And the same thing is true for our employee base and our leadership base as well. So there's multiple stakeholders that when that alignment occurs, which is what we have right now, and everyone is buying into the same vision, we've got multiple forces that are pushing us down a successful path.
Oh, I love that. I've worked at 3 companies in this industry, 2 public, 1 private, and that transparency as an employee, like it means it's a big deal. You never have to wonder because we talk about it on a quarterly basis. All right, Jake, back to you. Again, talking leadership, we've spent a lot of time really focusing on the corporate side, which is obviously important, but I want to talk to you, like, why is, from a culture standpoint, making sure that you're aligning with the right company culture in terms of the field? Why is that so important?
Yeah. So real quick, if it's okay, I want to go back to something because from a leadership perspective, there's, anytime you have a conversation, anytime there's a significant event in life, there are things that really stand out. And when I got to meet with Steve, before there was even an opportunity to join the corporate team, there was one thing that just predominantly stood out to me that he said. And coming from a network marketing distributor background, it really resonated with me, which was when he said, listen, our consultants, they deserve for us here at corporate to get uncomfortable. They deserve for us to make major changes to ensure that they have the opportunity that they desired and chose to come here for. That was a huge deal for me. And again, that's leadership. It'd have been easy just to be very comfortable, but to make that statement was a huge deal for me and to see his heart there. From a field leadership perspective, listen, I've been a student of leadership in this space since I cut my teeth as a distributor. And as I've come to Lifevantage, here's what I will say, is that we have the 1% of the 1% of the 1%ers here that are the reason we're here today because of the work and the investment that they've made. But what I love so much about our field leadership is that they have been more concerned and focused more on building Lifevantage and building their teams and building their own personal brand. And the only reason that I say that is that, listen, we live in this world, we know, and there are a lot of individuals that I see that, quite frankly, in my opinion, are more concerned about building their own personal brand, building themselves in the industry than they are their company and their teams. And I say that because you may not know the names of some of our top presidential leaders, but I can promise you that when it comes to income, when it comes to size of organization and revenue and lives impacted, they are the 1% of the 1%ers. They're at the very, very top, but it's because of their love of this company, because of their love of the people and knowing how this business impacts. That's been their focus. That was a huge deal for me because that's something that I wanted to be a part of in being partnered with those type of individuals.
No, I love that. We definitely have a culture where it's people first, and every single one of our top leaders would tell you it's about the success of the team ahead of them. And that's not always something you find in leadership. So I agree with what you said, Jake. All right, gonna pivot a little bit. We're gonna talk about product. Obviously, Jake, I agree with you. Leadership, without the right leadership, you could have the world's best product, the world's best compensation plan. If you don't have leadership, it doesn't do anything. But you do need to have a product that people are going to consistently buy, one that it's like, well, I can get that anywhere. Why would I get it from you? So I want to hear kind of your thoughts on making sure you align with a company that has the right product philosophy.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And I, if I was to categorize and say, okay, if you're going to list, 1 through 4 or 5, what your top pillars are, 1A would be leadership, but 1B would be product. And because it's the backbone of your opportunity. I mean, I know that the passion and the love that I have for this industry and this business is because of the legacy type of opportunity that can come. But that doesn't happen if you don't have products that are offering very real solutions to real problems. And so for me to partner with and be a part of a company that is founded in science, and I would, anybody that's new, anybody that's on here that's just checking out Lifevantage, I would challenge you, find another company that has the peer review studies that we have on our product, Protandim NRF2. You won't find it. It's a unicorn in the industry. And the beautiful thing is that we didn't stop there, right? We have continued to innovate and we've continued to develop products that align in that same activation story. I love something Julie, our CMO, said something that I'm a simple-minded person, but on our recent virtual activate event, she came up with the phrase, take it to make it. Like that resonated so much with me, meaning activate what's in your body. It's the most powerful mechanism on the face of the earth. And it's designed to do healthy things and create and all of that stuff. And so we are activating that and it's so powerful. So we didn't just stop with NRF2, but based in science and products that people can't live without, that foundationally is imperative to have a legacy type of opportunity. And this is why I go, the only reason I put leadership above that is because I believe the right leader will find and develop and make sure that those products are available, which we've obviously done.
I love that. Well, for those of you who are learning about Lifevantage for the first time, like you'll have to go check out the ABC Primetime. Lifevantage started and basically ABC Primetime was like, they are making these crazy claims. We got to put an end to it. And decided to do an investigative report. And typically, like when someone wants to do an investigative report, that's usually good. It's usually not a great thing, but you will see what an incredible story this is. You will also see how far we've progressed in terms of video technology too. So that's always fun to see John Quinones and the technology gap. But anyway, Steve, Jake is right. We are the only activation company. A lot of companies supplement, which is great. But for us, it was take it to make it. And we started with NRF2. Since we have done amazing things in activation, but how has product philosophy really driven Lifevantage to like be set apart in the industry, and what's next?
Yeah, I think it all ties. I mentioned the strength, the foundation of this company that's been around for 15 years. As Jake said, our flagship product is Protandim NRF2. And it is an activator. It's a product that's been clinically proven to reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. And the company has just now continued to build off of that. Over the last 2.5, 3 years, we've introduced a collagen product that is an activator of peptides in our bodies. Not only does it activate, but it replenishes and maintains as well. We just recently relaunched our True Science skincare line, which has many of the ingredients of our Protandim product embedded in it. And those three products together, it's kind of a inside, outside, and a bridge with collagen and the benefits. And what's amazing about our products is the more we study them, the more we learn about them. And we're finding more and more examples where there's a synergistic benefit when you take our products in combination with one another. And at our virtual event this last week, I'm really excited to announce that we discussed the launch of a new product coming in October, a weight loss management product that is true to our activation heritage and our story. It's going to be a GLP-1 product that comes in two product forms that in combination together activate different proteins in our body's hormones, and clinically proven, and it's going to be exciting and a game changer for us when we announce. You're going to learn more and more about it between now and October, but the official launch will be in the middle of October.
I love that. And I mean, put in the chat, if you have seen somebody in your world talking about weight loss over the past year, I mean, it's really been an incredible thing to watch happen. And when Lifevantage decides to participate in a space like that, like buckle up, because we do things different. We do things right. And again, I want to go back to that activation message. A lot of people are going to say, well, we're doing it too. We are activating that. Like it's powerful.
That's right.
I love that. Okay. So like I said, we're going to touch on a lot of areas today. I know I can see the chat just like it's blowing up.
It's crazy. It's
Going crazy. So we're going to, like I said, over the next few days, we're going to do some more calls, talk about things a little bit more in depth as well. So more to come on product. But the third question that I want to ask is about compensation. And I know one of the things I've heard, like I think at every company I've been in, is it's not about the money, or I don't do it for the money. And I love that. Like people are motivated by different things, but also I've never had a distributor in almost 2 decades send back their commission check either. And maybe some people on this call have, but I mean, I'll give you my address if you want to send it back. No kidding. But compensation is kind of one of those things that sometimes people are afraid to talk about, or maybe they don't know how to talk about. It's, can be a little taboo at times. But Jake, I want to talk to you because one of the other things that we've discussed that is so important when you're trying to find a home is compensation. From your perspective, why does compensation matter?
Yeah, no, and I will tell you, self-admittedly, I was an opportunity residual income person when it came. That's what excited me and attracted me to this industry. Quite frankly, I mean, I was in my 20s, so health-wise, why was I concerned about supplements and nutrition and stuff like that, right? I'd played baseball professionally. I thought I was healthy. And that's what attracted me. So obviously that's a sweet spot for me. But I will go back to, when I look at the pillars, for me personally, from my experience, again, being with startups, being with 40 and 50-year-old companies, my pillars: leadership, product, transparency, financial stability, right? Which for me is transparency, because I've been a part of private equity companies. My experience wasn't positive, I'll say that. But from a public perspective, that was very attractive because it's right there. It's out in the open. You can see. But the next thing then is compensation. And again, when you take those 4 pillars: leadership, product, financial stability, system, compensation, when you have those dialed, then innovation, the willingness to innovate and recreate yourself to be relevant in the marketplace, to me, creates like massive, massive opportunity. And that's what got me excited, because once I checked off the other boxes and I began, you and I, from your leadership and your role and understanding that the market's changing, Steve's leadership and vision to understand that we live in a world today where even 5 years ago, the gig economy wasn't as dynamic as it is today. The market's changing. So to create a compensation plan that makes us relevant in the marketplace, understanding you have people that are incredible customer gatherers, people that are great at driving massive, traffic and massive clicks to a product. We have to be able to support those individuals from a financial perspective in our model, but also those individuals that are great at team building, really great at building teams. And I can tell you, I've experienced, that's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to meet both of those groups where they are and to create something that's valuable for them. But with our new Evolve plan, we're able to do that. And so for me, if I'm looking to have a compensation plan that's very relevant in the marketplace that we're in today, that brings everything together, right? That brings all of it to one place where I really do have a true opportunity.
Oh, I absolutely love that perspective. Steve, I'm going to talk to you because one of the things you said early on was just that we're playing to, I still don't know where to look. Like,
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
I don't know if this feels awkward to only us or if it looks awkward, but I love compensation plans. It's something that since day one, like that's been kind of the thing that I can geek out on. And Steve, you made a big stake in the ground to say we have to evolve, which actually ended up being the name of our plan, because you saw this world that it was like, if a company can't support both the person who wants to gather customers, but the person who wants to build a big team, like that was the minimum we had to do. But you took it. I mean, we've invested several millions of dollars in this, but it had to go beyond that to be like, what are the right behaviors? So can you talk to us a little bit about what Lifevantage has done to be competitive from a compensation plan perspective?
Yeah, I think we've achieved what you just described in terms of creating a plan where, regardless of how you want to build a business, if it's through selling products, if it's through building teams or both, our plan can be very rewarding depending on those behaviors and obviously your level of effort. But what's really key around this plan is that it rewards the right behaviors. And as a team builder developing and a leader developing other leaders, there's an element of our compensation plan, a generational match that compensates those leaders for developing leaders. And that's critical to the future success, not just of our business, of Lifevantage, but of this industry, candidly. And another element of our plan that I love is a shared pool of once you hit a certain level, or our executive level within our plan, there's a pool that every one of the executives shares in. And it's a pool that is based on our revenue. And it's the same pool that we had actually at the very beginning of the company. But now people that join and achieve that rank get the benefit of sharing in a much bigger pool than obviously when we were a startup company. So as soon as you hit that executive level, you have the benefit of sharing in that bonus. And what I love about it is, obviously every leader is committed to their teams and the success of their teams. But with this pool, leaders are also incentivized to the overall growth and well-being and of Lifevantage as a company. And so you see a lot of cross-team collaboration and work, because everyone's success, Lifevantage's success, benefits everyone, but those upper leaders, from a pool standpoint. So I think we have all of the elements of a plan to be, to help drive success and the behavior that creates a long-term stable company.
I love that. I think so many companies right now are trying to figure out, kind of this post-COVID world for network marketing. And at the very least, reward people who sell product, reward people who build a big team. But I love that part of your vision was like, that's not enough. Like we have to be so specific about what those behaviors actually are. And, you know, you said something that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but you talked about the importance of us creating leaders of leaders. And that concept is really kind of back to where we started, kind of the lifeblood of this industry and for companies that are able to be successful. So absolutely love everything that you said. And we're going to transition now and talk even more about leadership with Erin Brockovich. But that being said, I mentioned this when we first started, but we gave you a little bit of information on a lot of things. We talked leadership. We talked product. We talked compensation. You're going to have opportunities. I'll share it at the end of the call where you can join us for even more conversations to learn even more about each of those things. But I am so excited to talk about leadership, to take this conversation to the next level with the one and only Erin Brockovich. For those of you, if you have not seen the movie Erin Brockovich, go watch it. But I have to tell you, the person itself is about 50 million times better than the movie. I've had the opportunity to work with Erin for a few years now. And I have to tell you, this woman has more grit than Yellowstone. I'm just going to say that. She is somebody who shows up every single day, is always looking to help people. And I have learned so much from her personally. And I'm so excited, Erin, for people to meet the real Erin Brockovich. Thank you for joining us.
That's my pleasure. And I can't believe you mentioned Yellowstone. I'm nothing like Beth. Now she's the one with grit.
Oh, I don't know.
I admire her. Anyway, love Yellowstone, but it's great to be here always. And need I mention before I start how fabulous you are, Steve, the whole company. So I'm always happy to be here and have a conversation with you guys at any time.
I love it. Well, Erin, I'm going to ask you a question that I ask almost everybody who joins the Lifevantage family. Why Lifevantage? What was it about this amazing company that you were like, that's where I want to partner?
So it started maybe back in 2017, where I was working on the big California fires, and a law firm that was out there had asked me to come up and talk to the community. And one of those attorneys was Gary Morrow. And I really respect Gary, was always listening to him, and he's very healthy. And I was always asking him, what is it you do? He bike rides, he walks, and he watches what he eats, but he was always talking about something that he took called Pro Tandem and how it reduced oxidative stress. And I'm listening to all this and I'm like, what is this? And so we go about our business, but it always came back to Pro Tandem. So I became really intrigued. And that's when he told me he was chairman of the board of Lifevantage. And I said, well, tell me more. And so he did. And that was, I loved the idea. I loved everything he was representing. I was intrigued by the product. I was curious. I wanted some. I started to take it. And then, for me, I'm looking back at Lifevantage now and I'm like, I want to be on the board. It's Gary goes, you're going to start there. I'm like, yeah, I want to be on the board. So, but it all began with Gary Morrow. And that's introduced to LV.
I love that. And, there's a lesson in there for our consultants, for prospective like you're going to have those people that you're thinking, if I could only get that person to join Lifevantage, but maybe you're afraid to ask them. Like our chairman of the board asked the actual Erin Brockovich and talked to her about Lifevantage. So ask that person, talk to that person that you have been afraid to talk to, because I look at the partnership that came from that one conversation. I love that. Erin, you've done some very amazing things. And I know part of your story is along the way, like there had to have been people that were, I've seen the movie. There were people telling you that you couldn't do that, or you were crazy, or who do you think you are? You weren't educated. Like, talk to me about how did you overcome that? And how did you, as somebody who felt so strongly about a cause, how were you able to kind of put that aside?
Well, I just want to assure you today that I still get told a lot of what you just said. Can't do it. What are you talking about? Where's your PhD? You're not a lawyer. And it kind of blows my mind that mentality is kind of out there, but it's always going to be out there. You know, I talk a lot about nothing changes until you do. So if you see yourself away, then that's probably going to be how you are. So if I go all the way back in my life, I'm a dyslexic. So I started out the gate being different. I thought different was good. And I'm always nervous if somebody tells me it's normal. I'm like, oh, no, right there, we got a problem. What's normal mean anyway? But I was always told I couldn't do this. I wanted to be a doctor. I was told I couldn't do that because of my dyslexia. I was labeled, I was judged, I was teased. I always had an F. And so very early on in my life, I knew who I was. I knew, but I didn't know how to break through to others that I knew, especially if I wasn't learning their way. That's, you know, standard of conformity. Well, I'll get put in that box. I don't like it in there. So my general nature was, okay, well, you shut the door, I'm going to open a window. You're going to close a window, I'm going to kick down a wall. You're going to kick down a wall, I'm going to step back. I'm going to observe and reapproach. How do I get through? And so I started early in my life not liking to be locked in, judged, labeled, perceived. Nobody does. And I had a mom that taught me a word that we share all the time, and that's, I was always told to have stick-to-itiveness, which I'm like, what is that? I was born and raised in Kansas. I thought it was a slang word like cattywampus or slaunchwise, which, by the way, I've been in big meetings before and somebody says cattywampus and people in the room are like, what is that? And I'm like, ooh, I know. So I
love that.
I thought it was a made up word. And my mom, who was a journalist and a sociology major, interesting combination, by the way. I said, this is a made up word. So she went and got the Webster's dictionary. She said, you know, really sit down. I want to read you this definition. As a dyslexic, I'm very visual, so see it on paper just kind of blew it up in my face. But its definition is a propensity to follow through in a determined manner. Dogged persistence born of obligation or stubbornness. Wow, because stubborn's my middle name. I'm dogged. I am persistent. And I just took that word as a little engine that could. And I still apply it today. I am telling you, even today, dare I date myself, and I'll go ahead and do it because I have no problem with that. I began my work in Hinckley when I was 31, a single mom of 3 children. I am 64 years old today and a grandmother of 4, and I still get pushed on. I still have others in that voice that wants to get in my head to tell me that I can't, is where I turn inward and I go, yes, I can. I have the power of that word, stick-to-itiveness. And, oh, I'll stick to it. You better believe it. And so it kind of evolved from there. And it's just something that I've learned and shared throughout my work. We're all going to hit those roadblocks. And I've learned that more often than not, the only person standing in your way is you. And you have to look inward at who you are, what you believe, work through that, talk it out, look at your good qualities. Don't let that voice get inside your head. And I want you to take stick-to-itiveness and be that little engine that could. And I think I can, I think I can, I know I can, I know I can. So it's really important to learn to keep those negative voices out. And if they get in, find that stick-to-itiveness. And I haven't met any person in my life that isn't dogged or persistent or determined in anything in their life. And it may not be everything in their life, but when that moment happens, you're going to know it, you're going to feel it, own it, stick with it.
I love that. First of all, thank you for being so transparent and
About
just,
my age?
well, that, I mean, again,
Wow.
the product's called Pro Tandem, another walking billboard of aging gracefully. But, you know, I love how transparent you are. And when you told me that even today, people still tell you no, or still whatever, I'm like, did they not see how that movie ended and what happened? And like, that blows my mind. But I think that's such a good reminder that no matter how successful you are, you're always going to have people trying to push you down.
Oh, absolutely. Just because someone makes a movie about you, it doesn't mean diddly squat to a whole lot of other people. And I think it's really important that when you do find your success, or
Mhm.
somebody does make a film about you, or you have that moment, is humility. And again, bring it inward, and don't let that success get to your head to make you another person that thinks in turn you can be bossy. You guys have been talking a lot about leadership, which I'm always intrigued about. And Erin Brockovich is not my favorite film. Pay It Forward is. And I think any strong leader doesn't stand there to go, I'm the leader and I'm the king and you're all going to listen to me, but rather through compassion and insight and their own persistence, see these qualities in others, in their company, in their group, and extend your hand to them to help elevate them, because that's when real leadership kicks in. So it's a leader finding the other leader and not being afraid to bring that person in and let them lead, and take it as, oh, you'll suddenly not be the leader. A real leader will find a real leader in another person and elevate them. I think it's critical in our work that we pay it forward to others.
I love that. I want to touch on that a little bit more, because this term leader, we use that a lot in this industry. I mean, we started this call talking about leadership, and with social media and different things, somehow, while I've appreciated social media for understanding the latest cleaning hacks or how to actually be a better mother, different there's a great things on social media, but one of the things that is, I think, inadvertently we've created is this idea of leadership equates to a big social following, or leadership equates to the number of people who like a post or do that or this, that, or the other. But can you talk a little bit more about that concept of creating leaders of leaders that Steve just mentioned? And, leadership is earned, not something that comes from a viral social post or something. Like, I think we've seen just a lot shift in terms of this concept of leadership over the past several years.
I think we have to, and it's a fascinating question. And social media, you have to be careful with social media, and not just believe everything that's there. I talk a great deal about instincts, and even when you're on the phone and I'm around people and you see a post, people immediately go, that can't be true. Kind of use these instincts and don't just be a part of a rumor mill. I go through with people all the time. I'm like, where'd you hear that? That's not true. And they're like, yes, it is. It was, matter of fact, it was one of my best friends. And I'm like, where did you hear that? It's not true. And she got really frustrated with me, and she kind of put her phone in my face and she goes, here on X. I'm like, what's that? Really? That is opinions. We have to be careful with social media. And so if you're feeling it, that's not true. I'm not sure I believe that. Vet it for yourself. Make it upon yourself, if you're uncertain about self, to ask a question. Look, I wrote a book during COVID called Superman's Not Coming. Now, mind you, it's about our national water crisis, but it's what we can do about it. And for each one of us as an individual, don't just assume everything you hear, everything you read, that somebody else is doing it, that's really happening, they're going to do it for you, or something magical will change. No, it begins with you. So in social media, I think it's very important. Have fun with it, learn from it, but you can create your own content if you like. And I think that's the thing. Everybody wants to have a stage in life. We all do. But I think that when you get on there and you want that stage in life, that it's very important you're sending a clear, true message. And if you're watching something and somebody else is going down, take that leadership role, step up and say, hey, wait a minute. Disagree. And oftentimes we're afraid to do that, because then everybody's going to get on a Twitter feed and call you a bunch of names. Who cares? It's important when you stand up for others, you're standing up for yourself. So I like social media too, but I question everything on it. I certainly don't believe everything that's on it, but if I'm interested in something, I vet it myself and I do further work. And then when I find out, wow, that's happening, I'm in.
I love that so much. I think a real leader is someone who, like you said, vets it for themselves, isn't taking somebody else's opinion at face value or something that's in a post or in whatever. I absolutely love how you said that. You know, you talked a little bit in the beginning about, you know, your road with dyslexia, and I've heard you talk about your teacher before that was so instrumental, somebody who really saw something in you and helped you. How important is it as a leader to, number one, identify like our unique traits, but number two,
Right.
be looking for somebody else's, and how did that kind of inspire your journey?
It really did. So her name is Kathy Borseth, and interestingly enough, she was my psychology teacher. And so I was the kid in class. As a dyslexic, I hear everything. And so I can watch a ticker tape, understand what it's saying. Yes, I can read and hear at the same time. So I can kind of take a lot in at once. But in class, I knew everything. I wanted to participate. I was the kid with my hand always up. I was frankly kind of annoying. But when it came to a test, I failed. And one afternoon, I'm leaving class, and you remember back in the olden days, and I'm sure there's a lot of people on here that might not remember the olden days. I'm going way back to like the 70s. Teachers would stand at the door, and as you leave, they're passing out your tests. Well, as I'm coming up, I could see the F in a red Sharpie, like coming through 4 pages of papers. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go. And so she handed me the paper, and she stopped me for a minute. She said, "You doing okay?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Everything okay at home?" I'm like, "Yeah." She said, "Well, I'm curious, you got another F on your test." I'm like, "I can see that." And she said, "But you know everything in class. What's happening?" I don't know, dyslexia, not sure what it is, but supposedly I have it. And she goes, "Interesting." Didn't make a beat, didn't go, "Oh my gosh, you shouldn't be in my class," nothing. She said, "Interesting." She said, "So if I give you this test right now orally, can you pass it?" I go, "Absolutely." She said, "You want to do it now?" And I said, "Game on." So we did. She mixed it all up. I knew everything. And she gave me an A+. And she said, "You know what I'm going to do? You take your test with all your peers. We're not making a big deal out of this. And after class, pop quiz, final exams, thesis papers, I'll grade them. You can come back and we'll take it orally." And what that did, first of all, for my GPA, what made my parents the happiest people on the planet, but what it did for my self-esteem. She recognized it. She stepped out of a box. Really, honestly, back in those days, I just came back from a big dyslexic conference, and we'll get into that later if anybody wants. But like my mom said, it was a standard of conformity. And dyslexics aren't stupid. We're our own creators. We're just not learning this standardized way. We lose a lot of bright minds that way. And so I think it's critical for any leader to see that in somebody else. And just because it doesn't fit the standard idea doesn't mean that what you see isn't real, and that you don't step in and try another way with that person to bring the best out in them. And that's what Kathy Borseth did for me.
You know, first of all, she sounds absolutely wonderful. I've heard you talk about her a number of times, but something clicked for me as you were saying that. And, you know, it would have been easy for her to probably write you off. Like, thank goodness she didn't. But, you know, as as a leader, how, like, I think sometimes people make the mistake of prejudging someone, or, you know, you know, like, how many times in your life have you been, you know, prejudged, and you're like, "Oh, just you wait, I'm coming." And why is it so important for, you know, real leaders to like not make that instant just judgment on somebody?
Well, when you said she could just like, Erin, go away or whatever, let me tell you something about that, because I have the power of stick-to-itiveness, so I will not go away. So just FYI, I will retreat, I will think, I will reassess the situation, and I will find another way to reapproach. I look at it like a plane coming in on crosswinds, right? So if you want to be the big leader flying that plane, and you don't want to recognize that something's wrong, something bigger happen than who I am, or not get in your own head. You know, my dad always told me, egos become our biggest stumbling blocks. And I think that can get in the way sometimes of leaders or people who are successful. I mentioned that in the beginning. When you find that success, also find that humility. But if I'm coming into the crosswinds, it doesn't work to just land the plane, because you're going to crash. Accept it, take off, come back around, reapproach, and try it again. Because it's that reapproach that helps you make a better approach, one that could make a difference, and that you've become well thought out in what that's going to be. So again, I don't go away too easily. Krista, just so you know, because I have stick to itiveness. I will be back.
I love that. I mean, if we could all just like have a little piece of Erin come off on us tonight, and imagine the size of company.
But you do. And I've learned that in Lifevantage, and I've learned that with the distributors, and I learned that at being at your events, and I learned that at all these people coming on. They do. And that's why I wrote Superman's Not Coming. Nobody's holding you back but yourself. Don't be afraid of being vulnerable. Don't be afraid of being wrong. Be more afraid that I didn't have the courage to stand up. Who cares what everyone else thinks? You know who you are. Own that. And I see that in everybody. Erin Brockovich isn't about me. Erin Brockovich is about every single one of us. And I want you to find that person. And I want you to be the best you can be. And when you can get out of your own way and accept your own imperfections and embrace them and find that courage, I'm telling you, you'll find your success. So see, you're already there.
I love it. Steve, you feeling it?
I'm feeling it. I am
You
feeling it.
are. You're
Yeah.
just already there.
Yeah, Steve's already there. He's like, yep, she's doing it right. I love that. Well, Erin, I've had so many conversations the past, since I started here, but about Lifevantage. And what's interesting is every once in a while, and more often than I would like, I have someone say, why have I never heard of this? Like, why is this the first time I'm hearing of this amazing company? And, we have a tremendous product offering. We have tremendous leadership, compensation. We have all of that. But, I don't know that we have been loud enough. And as someone who you've told us, like, hey, you're not going away, you're coming back. Like, what advice would you have to people who are interested in starting a business with us? Or I know there's some people on here who already have a business with us, but how do you create the movement of us getting louder about this amazing company?
Well, the first thing that kind of comes to my mind, and you guys were talking about it earlier, evolving. And, evolving is courage and taking those chances. And oftentimes we don't, because we're afraid we're going to fail. But, no pain, no gain, no risk, no gain. And so I think it's super important. Now, I've watched this company evolve, and sometimes things come together when they need to. And everything that you've been talking about that goes on with Lifevantage, I've watched it evolve from when Steve came in to how he sees the team, and how the team out there in the field sees other people, how we work together, how we're not afraid to have indifferences, how we're not afraid to talk it out. It's okay to disagree. I don't know why it is we think we have to disagree and stomp off and hate each other and my way or the highway. Nothing ever gets done. So I've watched this company evolve into this moment where you've learned, where you've put it together, where you've vetted it, you've tried it, you've seen it. We've worked it out from a board. And I think boards are very important to the companies, and the companies and the CEO to the people. It won't work out without that trio. It won't. It's a checks and a balance, but you have to evolve and work together and be willing to fail together and enjoy the successes together. And I've seen that. It has been one of the greatest experiences for me to sit on the board of this company. And I truly mean that. I have learned so much, and I've learned it through watching the evolution happen for yourself. And now here comes Lifevantage, and now we're going to get out there. And it takes time to build that, and you want to do it the right way. And they have, and it is their moment, and they should be out there. They've earned it. They've deserved it, all the way from Steve, all the way down to every single person that works there to your distributors, the trials and tribulations, and you've done it together. You've evolved together. And by the way, here you are with a big, bad, bold ass statement. Lifevantage is here. I'm excited.
I absolutely, I love that. Like you heard it here first. Lifevantage is here. That is absolutely amazing. You know, what's interesting is we are getting a lot more attention. Like we were just featured in Newsweek, which was like a tremendous accomplishment amongst like very big companies, not even in our space. Like we're getting that attention, but I do think for us to really go to the next level, like we have to embrace that. I'm coming back the second time and I'm going to be even louder. And so thank you for inspiring and for talking to us about how that's impacted you. Totally agree.
You've all done it, earned it, deserved it. You've got the stick-to-itiveness. Listen, we know, Krista, you and me, Steve knows too. I could go on forever. So I'm very happy to do this again. We could part two. Okay.
Love it.
You've all made it happen. And it's through paying it forward, through your humility, through your thoughtfulness, through your evolution, through your trials, your tribulations, your failures, and the courage to get back up. You, Lifevantage, have earned that.
Oh, I love that so much.
To say that.
You know, Erin, you've told me a story that is always just, I've thought about it so many times. And with the Olympics coming up, like I've been thinking about it. You know exactly where I'm going. I love that.
Yeah.
You told me that you are one of the few people who had the honor to participate in the opening ceremonies at the Olympics. And you shared a story with me that I will tell you, when you shared me, I was like, seriously, like actually, I could not believe how transparent and honest you were about really how scared you were to participate in that. Would you mind just sharing a little bit about your experience with the Olympics?
Yeah.
There's so many great tie-ins to our consultants.
Well, you know, the Olympic torch is right around the corner. Do you want me to go get it, or you just want me to tell the story? Oh, Steve's nodding his head. I'll go get it.
I think if you all didn't see Steve nod, yes, go get the torch. She's going to go get the torch. You know, don't drop it. I've heard that's not great luck, but you know, Erin first shared this story with me maybe about a year ago, and we've talked about it since then. But you know, one of the things that I absolutely love about her is how transparent she was. And when she told me this story, I could not believe it. And there it is. If you have never, like, that is an actual Olympic torch. Incredible.
Isn't it cool?
So cool.
So yes, Salt Lake, 2002.
There you go.
So, yeah, so this was 2 years after the film came out. And, you know, the film was pretty overwhelming for me. Not pretty overwhelming. We could have a whole story about when it came out and being on the red carpet. And listen, I literally shook so hard. Universal Studios said, if you don't stop shaking, we're going to need to take you home. I was overwhelmed. And they said, what's overwhelming you? I'm like, first of all, do not stand me next to Catherine Zeta-Jones ever again. I was like, oh, I mean, she's just stunning. I'm out of my element. I'm like, I can't do this. I literally did run off the red carpet, but I got a letter from the Olympics that it asked me to pass the Olympic torch for Salt Lake 2002. I'll be honest with you. Oh, I can't do that. And my assistant, Kathy Brown, said, why would you not? I'm like, no, I'm scared. She said, scared. I'm like, yeah, what if I don't catch it? What if I drop it? You know, what if I trip? What if I fall? I'm not an Olympian. I've done nothing. And she said, Erin, you have to do this. And I'm like, okay. So, you know, Erin goes about her business, and then you have to get your runner suit. And when I got that, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm like, it's upstairs. You want me to go get it? No, next time we do this, I'm going to have on my Olympic suit. We're going. And so the day that I'm going to run the race in LA, because it's coming through and it's getting real close to Salt Lake. Okay, I got to get hair and makeup ready. First of all, who does that? I'm not really, how stupid. Hair and makeup, I'm running a race. Yes, that's what I'm there to do. But I do it anyway. And I come out, it's a pretty cloudy day, but when I get there, it starts to rain. So now I'm going, oh, great. The cameras are here. I have mascara running down my face. My hair is going to be a mess. I'm like, this is not good. So I'm standing there getting pretty anxious, and the crowd was huge, and I could see my husband, but I didn't have anyone to tell me, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? Who's my leader? Hello, I'm getting really nervous. So somebody comes around and they said, okay, Erin, so now we're going to start running. And I'm like, you running fast, slow, trot? What do you want me to do? He's like, oh, it's okay. Just go ahead and start a nice little jog. So I'm starting a nice little jog, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I got mascara down my face, and I'm letting that voice get in, and I'm like, forget her, because I'm getting lost in the crowd. And they are so excited. I'm thinking, this is pretty cool. And he says, you can pick your pace up a little. So now I've got a pace going, and he's coming right along with me. And he says, okay, so I want you to start getting ready, because they're coming around the bend and they're going to pass it off. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I go, oh, now I'm in my head. What if I trip? What if I fall? Oh my gosh, this is going to be a disaster. I can't believe this. Now I'm thinking maybe I should just stop and walk off. And I'm like, you can't stop. You know, there's no crying in baseball. You're not getting off the field. And he says, Erin, start turning around. It's here. And I'm like, what's here? And he goes, they're going to pass the torch. And I go, what do I do? He goes, turn around and reach. And I'm like, okay. He says, okay, here it comes, Erin. Here it comes, Erin. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, grab it. And I did. And when I grabbed it, I was like, yes, I know exactly where I'm going. And that was the whole point. Even if I had stumbled, the fact that you find the courage no matter what's going on, and you grab it and you run with it. It is a jolt of energy and excitement that carries you forward. And I will never forget it. So for something that I never wanted to do, had I let my fear get in, I wouldn't have done it. And to face that and to cut through it and to grab it, frankly, I didn't even know where I was going, but now I did. It's been, again, one of the greatest learning lessons and opportunities and moments. And if I could tell you, this torch, I want to pass on to every one of you. I am, and I want you to grab it. Don't miss out on your opportunity because you're afraid.
I love that. So, you know what, to everybody who has a business or with Lifevantage or is looking to start one, do you think that relates to network marketing at all? Like maybe you're scared to say yes, but once you do, and once you help, in fact, describe in the chat what it's like to help somebody with this opportunity, with these products. Help, like, I love just the connection that you make there. Erin, we've learned from you. We've absorbed some of your stick-to-itiveness. Thank you for that, by the way. I'm probably gonna need a lot more throughout my life.
Stay out of the box.
Yeah, I love it. You passed the torch to us. You've told us now's the time to grab it and
It is.
and go, right? I'm going to ask you just a question that I'd love to end on, and that is there anything else that you haven't shared with this amazing group of people that you want to share with them?
Well, sure, but we don't have enough time. Well, I think, I've had 30 years of experience on the ground. And I've just learned through my own instincts, my own intuitions, not to doubt myself. I do a lot of public speaking globally, and I always talk about my 4 L's, the logic, that's your common sense. Leverage is the power of a community, the power of a team, the power of the collective, being loyal to what you're doing, to your cause. And that's your stick-to-itiveness. And I talk a lot about love. And I think that love is our why. Ask yourself. I used to ask myself all the time when I was young. I was making $1,600 a week, had a family of 3. I couldn't afford to eat. Why am I driving to Hinckley? I don't see my kids. I'm missing their plays. Somebody's sick. When it dawned on me that I was going to Hinckley because I love the environment. I love the water. I could see people being harmed. I fell in love with them, and they were a part of me and I was a part of them. And when we learned from each other, we grew up, and actually my children in some level got raised by everybody out in Hinckley. But it does take that village. And we think that we all have to be in these own corners and superior over here. You have to ask why you're doing something. And it dawned on me that I was out there because I love them. It dawned on me that I was out there because I love the idea of working. I love the idea of being able to feed my kids. I love the idea of being able to send them to college. And it really dawned on me that my power, my motivation to be there was born from my love. And I talk about RAM, which is realization, assessment, accountability, and motivation of oneself. And you've heard me say that. If you just realize who you are, and you can get over your faults and your flaws, because we all have them. One of the greatest things I've ever learned, and I just went through this experience again out in the Bahamas at a dyslexic event. If you can let that guard down and let that vulnerability and rawness come through, then I think you've probably gotten through one of the worst things that you might think you're going to experience. And it will be the most freeing thing you're ever done. I'm like, I am so freaking over me. Get over it. No makeup, butt naked. Yeah, I got this. Yeah, I got that problem. Here I am. It's freeing. So just realize who you are and embrace your vulnerabilities, because you're going to learn what you think is your fault, your downfall in life. Like for me, would be dyslexia. It's actually your gift. When you realize that, and you can assess and change things that you don't like about yourself, be accountable and forgiving to yourself for the mistakes you have made. When you find the motivation, that why factor comes back for you again. And what I've learned is we lose our motivation. We get busy, we get overwhelmed. It's like, feels like to all of us, the world's going to spin out of control. But if you could just stop for a moment, this is your self-renewal, to reconnect to yourself, to the planet, to the energy of the sun, the smell of the rain, the beauty of where you are at the moment. Don't worry about the past. You're going to be depressed. If you angst over the future, you'll have too much anxiety. Be present, be with you, find that self-renewal. You'll find your motivation, and you'll realize, honestly, I'm not kidding you. There's nothing you can't overcome, because you'll have found the power of who you are and the love within yourself to pass on to others. And together, it may sound foolish, but I'm telling you, we make a difference.
Erin, Steve, you want to follow that?
No,
Wow. You are so incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, for coming on here, for being so transparent, for helping us really talk about leadership, and as somebody who has experienced it in so many different ways in your life. And I want to give Erin some love. If you learned something from Erin, if you feel inspired that the second we get off this Zoom, that you're ready to make a decision about partnering with a company who is ready to embrace you exactly where you are, a company who wants to work with the Erins of the world, who wants to make a difference, like, make a decision now. Contact the person who invited you. If you're on this call and you already have a Lifevantage business, like, make the commitment to call that person. Call your Erin Brockovich. Who is that person that
you are it already?
that you have been wanting to call, but you haven't, because this is a great message and we need to get louder. And Erin, thank you, because you've inspired me to get louder, and appreciate you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you. I want to say one more thing before I go. And Steve may know this, you might know, Krista. In the beginning, I can be very quiet. I'm observing, and it's about building trust. And it's not always easy for me to find my space, and how I do. And this goes right to Lifevantage and everyone in it. Acceptance. I felt accepted and different, and all that was embraced. And that lit me up into who I am, but she just doesn't always emerge. So I want to say thank you to you, Krista, and to Steve. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. It is, as a company, your acceptance and your willingness and working and not being afraid of things is what makes you so unique.
Oh,
Thanks, Erin.
absolutely perfect. Erin, thank you so much. For those of you that joined us tonight, we had well over, I think, 1,600 at one point. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about this incredible, incredible company. You know, we touched on a ton of topics. Like I said in the beginning, the person who invited you to this really wants you to learn more about this incredible company. And we have several opportunities over the next few days where you're going to hear more about our products, more about our view on leadership, more about our compensation plan. But we hope you enjoyed the call tonight. We're grateful you joined, and we can't wait to talk to you all again soon. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye. Bye, Steve. See you later. Bye, Krista.
Bye.